30. This is a collaborative approach in the Holy Family ministry, men's ministry, women's ministry. And I think the three ministries are fully represented. We thought about the needs of those people who come to church. Some people feel hurt, people feel abandoned, people feel you don't want to come. So we put our heads together and we thought, let's follow the footsteps of Jacob. And he made it. And the interesting thing is that he didn't know that he was dictating. It's part of his nature. So we've designed this 4-session series. Today we're going to talk about, remember, the character of God and our identity. I believe next one will be Rosa. Yeah, Brother Paul talking about discerning the voices of the world from the voices. Next one will be Rosa, recognizing other. And last but not least, yes, sir, talk to us about transform. So this is the overview of the series. We thought to have a video about this lifespan of Jacob before we get into
for ourselves. Jacob's name comes heel grab. That's not fair. I'm so thankful for Jesus because no matter what it is, no matter what your history, no matter what background, no matter what ethnicity, no matter what economic status you are born into, doesn't define your future. We serve a God who changes these things. It doesn't have to remain the same. But Jacob's name means heel grabber. I think it's kind of funny that Jacob as a baby comes out of the womb grabbing for his brother's heel. It's interesting because in this society that Jacob was born into, in the ancient Near East, there was a tradition that the firstborn got a greater inheritance than the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, all the other. But there was a blessing attached to being first. The firstborn's got a bigger inheritance. The firstborn's got a better blessing. The firstborn's got more. I don't think it's a coincidence today that Jacob was trying to be first right out of the womb. I don't think it's a coincidence because Jacob was born with a me first mentality. And I think it's so funny today because I don't know about you, but I know about myself. Sometimes it feels like I was born with a me first mentality. Sometimes it feels like I was born with a mentality that I am going to put myself first no matter what, that I will grab after things to try to make myself more important. Is it possible as a Christian, as a Jesus follower, to have a God-first focus in this me-first world? Is it even possible? Is it even possible to say, you know what, I'm going to be a Jesus follower and I'm going to serve him above everything. God's going to be first in my life. Is it even possible? Sometimes it feels like it's not even possible. Sometimes I feel like Jacob the heel grabber, who right from the very beginning of my whole life, I sometimes feel like I just want to be first. No matter what, I just want to reach for heels. I just want to reach to be first. I want to reach for success. I want to reach for security. I want to reach for wealth. I want to reach for meaning, all at the expense of making myself first, no matter the cost. But, friend, a me-first focus is meaningless. Me-first focus is draining. A me-first focus will suck the very life out of you. Is it even possible to have a God-first focus in this me-first world? Jesus talked about this. Matthew 20, verse 16, Jesus says, the first will be last. The last will be first. Essentially, Jesus is saying, not all who get ahead really are ahead. In other words, Jesus is saying that living with a me-first focus in your life doesn't actually get you in first. It actually makes you last. It's not even an effective way to live. It'll actually get you behind in life. Jesus, again, in Luke 9 says, for whoever wants to save their life must lose it. But whoever loses their life for me will save it. What good is it for someone to gain the whole world, to grab after all of these things, yet lose or forfeit their very self? It's possible to live a life, friend, where we grab after stuff, we grab after success, we grab after status, we grab after security, we grab and we reach like Jacob the heel grabber, hoping that being first in these areas of our life will give us meaning, but at the end, it leaves us broken and tired and exhausted. I believe there's someone in this place where you're tired of reaching for success, hoping that it'll make you feel validated, reaching for purpose like it'll make you feel important. Friend, I want you to reach for Jesus. I want to encourage you that you don't have to keep reaching, you don't have to keep posturing, you don't have to keep posing, but with Jesus, you can have everything that you've ever wanted. Jacob's name means heel grabber, and then Jacob's name means deceiver. Deceiver. Again, this is like the worst thing ever. Like, hey, what's up, bro? My name's Taylor. What's your name? Deceiver. Oh, we're not going to be business partners. His name is Deceiver. I love it because Jacob, like I said, he's kind of like a mama's boy, right? And Jacob, you know, he could cook. And I don't think like he could cook like Emeril Lagasse or like Anthony Bourdain. I imagine he could cook like Martha Stewart. It's a different kind of cooking. And Jacob, he could cook, but Esau, the man's man. I'm going to go out into the wilderness for a few days. I'm going to go hunt some elk. I'm going to eat it raw. I'm a man. You know, it's Esau and it's Jacob. But Jacob's name means deceiver. And Jacob, he tended to live up to this name. He tended to live up to the expectation that he was given at birth. And I don't know why he did it, but he tended to live a life where he was grabbing at heels, and he tended to live a life where he was trying to deceive. Maybe you've heard the story where Jacob stole his brother's birthright. You see, Esau, who was the oldest brother, he got the right to a larger inheritance. And Jacob, the younger brother, he wanted the larger inheritance. He wanted a bigger portion of their father's estate. So Jacob thought he could deceive his brother. And there was this moment where Esau, the man, is out hunting, and he's hunting, and he's tired, and he's all dramatic, and he comes home one day, and Jacob made like I like to imagine like a nice chili, and Esau comes home, and he's like, brother, I'm starving, except that I imagine that Esau didn't talk like that. I kind of imagine Esau was like, Jacob, me, Esau, hungry. And he's like, I'm hungry. And he says, I'm hungry, Jacob, will you give me a bowl of your delicious chili? And Jacob says, yeah, I'll give you some chili if you give me your birthright. And it kind of sounds dumb, right? Like, ridiculous. Like, John Fulton would never give me his inheritance for a cup of Campbell's chicken noodle. It would just never happen. But I think there is a lesson to learn. I don't want to stick on this story for too long, but I want you to know, friends, that it's possible to give up what you want most for what you want now. I don't want you to do that today. Never give up what you want most in life for what you want right now. We do it time and time again if we're not careful with decisions, with sin, with relationships, with career choices. Don't give up what you want most for what you want right now. Jacob, he gets the birthright, but the birthright wasn't enough. He gets the inheritance, but then he wants the blessing. The blessing. He wants the blessing. So what's the blessing? The blessing is not the birthright. The birthright is what the firstborn gets, and it's a larger inheritance, but the firstborn also gets the blessing. What's a blessing? It's the blessing to after your father passes away, to become the patriarch of the family. To be the guy in charge, to call the shots, to be number one in the family, and he wants to become patriarch. And I just think it's so funny because Jacob, he gets an idea, right? So imagine, you have Jacob with his mom, Rebecca, and Rebecca overhears that it's time for Esau to get the birthright. So like an episode of Jerry Springer or Maury, Rebecca betrays her husband and goes to her favorite son and says, Jacob, your father's going to bless your brother. What we're going to do is we're going to deceive him so that you can get the blessing. And Isaac says to Esau, he says, Esau, today I'm going to bless you. Go out into the field, go hunting, catch some game, prepare a meal for me, then we will pray and I will bless you and you will be blessed. When Esau leaves, in comes Jacob. You see, Jacob, he was soft and smooth. He was Rico Suave. He was a mama's boy. He had soft hands. He was a man of the tents. He wasn't a man of the field, but he knew that he could deceive his father because his father had weak eyes. His father didn't have good eyesight. So Jacob, he does the craziest thing. Jacob, he gets animal fur and he puts it on his body. Like a lunatic. He puts it on his body and he says, maybe, just maybe, I can go into my father's tent and I can convince him that I'm Esau. And if I can convince him I'm Esau, I will get my brother's blessing. I'm a pretty smart guy. He goes into the tent. And Isaac says, who's there? Who is it? Isaac can't see. He's blind. And Jacob says, it's me, Father. I caught the game. I prepared a meal for you. And what does Isaac say? Isaac goes, well, you sound like Jacob. Come here. Let me feel you. And as he starts touching his arms, he says, who are you? And he says, it is me, your son, Esau. And he deceives his father, Isaac, and he steals his brother's blessing. How is this possible? Friend, how is it possible that a man's son could deceive him into stealing his other son's blessing? Well, I think it's possible. We can live pretending to be something that we're not. Even those close to us begin to be fooled as to who we really are. It's possible that we can live a life pretending to be deceiving, not just deceiving ourselves. My name is Esau. Just Jacob, dressed like Esau. Friend, I want you to know that God can't bless who you pretend to be. God can only bless who you really are. God can't bless who you hope to be. God can only bless who you really are. God doesn't bless who you aspire to be. God blesses you as you are right now. Who are you? Not Esau. Dan can come up, make you sound a little bit more spiritual. See, I don't know about you, but sometimes I feel like Jacob in this story. Because I feel like there's a lot of me's. If I'm being honest with you, I don't always feel like I'm the me that I want to be. I actually feel like not the me I want to be. I kind of feel like wannabe Wilkerson. I love wannabe Wilkerson. Wannabe Wilkerson is my favorite version of who I am. Wannabe Wilkerson, he's nice, but he's like really disciplined. He's really kind and gentle, but he always gets things done. He doesn't bulldoze over people, but he's a high achiever. He's wannabe Wilkerson. He's good looking and awesome. He has a six-pack, but he can enjoy the occasional dessert. Wannabe Wilkerson. It's not the me that I am, it's the me that I want to be, but I don't always feel like I'm there just yet. Am I alone, or is there anyone else that sometimes you feel like you wish you were wannabe Wilkerson or wannabe Frank? Or God can't bless who you pretend to be. God can only bless who you really are right now. My biggest fear in life is that I'll spend so much time focusing on who I want to be that I don't let Jesus change who I really am. I'm so worried that if I'm not careful, I'll spend so much time pretending to be something that I'm not. Pretending to strive after and grab after things that aren't mine. Grab after dreams that aren't mine. And I'll miss what Jesus has for me here and now. Jacob, name means heel grabber. Grabbing after success. Grabbing after things that he hopes will give him purpose, but it never seems to satisfy. Jacob, his name means deceiver. He hopes that he can deceive others, but really the whole time he's just been deceiving himself. But I love this story because Jesus doesn't let him stay the way he was. That he changes him. He transforms him. And he gives him a new name. In this story, Jacob stole his brother's blessing, and he went on the run. He went on the run for 21 years. Friend, you can be running for years and years, decades and decades, pretending to be something that you know you're not. Finally had enough. Tired of running. He's tired of trying to be something that he's not. He's tired of reaching and striving and posturing. And he says, you know what? I'm done. I'm gonna go back home. Friend, it's never too late to go back home. 21 years, Jacob says, I'm gonna go back home and I'm gonna face my past. I'm gonna face my sins. I'm gonna face the me that I don't want to be. Maybe God will have mercy on me. He turns back home, and on his way back home, it gets to the story that we read at the beginning of this talk in Genesis 32. He's headed back home, and he sends his wife and his belongings ahead of him, hoping that it'll pass.
I guess we'll suffice with that part of the video. But I like the way Taylor Wilkerson put it. Me first. I guess we have the luxury now to have the talk and the questions combined. So we're going to have a funny, interactive session. So the first thing is, what do you think Jacob's problem was? What was his problem?
I think he was basically looking at what he doesn't have rather than what he has got. So, and when you're always looking at others, you're never satisfied. You never appreciate what you have and what was given to you.
He couldn't have said it better. Satisfied. Jacob was not happy with the way he was. He was not happy with the way his life was. He was not happy being the second child. He was not happy being the mom's boy sitting with his mother while Esau is the outdoors grabber kind of man. Let me tell you something. As a family therapist, I can tell you, if people pay attention to this root cause problem in our life, 50% of issues we have in our families and our communities wouldn't even exist. The discontent personality. Husbands are not happy with their wives. Wives are not happy with their husbands. Husbands and wives are not happy with their children. Children are mad at their parents. Parents are mad at their other parents. Parents, when their children get married, are not happy with their in-laws. People are not happy with their profession. Why am I short? I could have been taller. Why am I tall? I could have been shorter. Why I'm married to that lady? I could have been married to more. Everybody is unhappy. And dissatisfied. Jacob was not different. How come I am the second child? So today we would like to put ourselves in Jacob's shoes and see what he might have overlooked. He overlooked the character of his father. Not Isaac and Rebekah, the true father. If he had looked at who he belongs to and what's the character of his father, he would have been differently satisfied. So the character of his father, if you want to characterize God, the first thing I would say, God is love. And in the first epistle of John 4:8, John describes it very, very nicely. He says, "My beloved, I'm asking you to we love each other because love is from God. Whoever knows God, whoever loves, knows God. And whoever doesn't, and if you don't love, you don't know God, for God is love." As simple as that. If you know God, God is love. And the interesting thing about love is that his love is unconditional. We always hear that word unconditional, and we always tell the premaritals and married people, you have to have unconditional love. What does that mean? It means that it does not depend on the other's personality for me to love him. Because when God loved us, we were sinners. So his love is beautiful, that it does not build on merit, it does not build on works. It's not that we did something good or we didn't do anything bad that he loved us. No, he loved us when we were sinners, unconditional. Excuse me. unconditional. Don't question or doubt God's love for you, because it has nothing to do with you. It has something to do with Him, with His nature, with His love, with the way He is. It's not like when He's in mood, He loves us. It's not that when we come and pray, He loves us. He loves us all the time, unconditionally. I have a testimony to give about this. My younger son graduated from political science last year with a good GPA. He wanted to be a lawyer. A couple of weeks after his graduation, he got a good job. But his life dream was to be a lawyer. So he said, I'm going to go right into writing an LSAT. He wrote his LSAT first time. He got below average score. So he said, I'm going to get into a course and learn. No. We would love to have her. We would love to have her. She's the angel singing. No. She's the angel. So he went the second time, and he did his best. And guess what? He got the same score. So he was frustrated. He was disappointed. That was back in March, I believe. March. Yeah. And he was frustrated and disappointed because his life dream was to be a lawyer. And every time Gigi and I asked him, Michael, what are you planning to do? He said, I don't know. I said, fine, okay. We were praying, just praying for him. One day I was driving with him, and he was tense. And I told him, you don't seem to be happy. You don't seem to be content. He said, yes, Dad. I am mad at God. He said, why? He said, because it doesn't look like that He works at all. He said, but Michael, about a year ago, you were saying that you were blessed by God and He did a lot of good things for you. So has He changed? He said, I don't know if He changed or what, but I'm not happy. So I remember I told him, Michael, you may doubt anyone's love, including moms and dads. But please never doubt God's love. And he looked at me, and he was tearful. And I knew that it accorded with him. And for about 4 or 5 months, everybody was accepted and what have you, and he started looking for alternatives. Believe me, 2 weeks ago, out of the blues, at 9 p.m. on last Friday in August, he came to us saying, I got accepted. And he told me, Dad, remember when I first got the email from university, I remembered what you told me. Never doubt God's love. And I think that was a lesson God was trying to teach him. And a lesson for us as well. A lesson of faith, a lesson of humility, a lesson of everything. God is love. So if you are in midst of a situation, if you are in midst of the stressful situation, tell him, you are still with me, because your love is unconditional. The second cornerstone of God's character, God is non-judgmental. He doesn't judge people. People judge each other. We love to judge each other. You know why we love to judge each other? To justify ourselves. But God doesn't judge. It's very interesting to learn that when he said, I didn't come to call the righteous, but sinners to repentance. And the church is a hospital. So the church means that we are unhealthy people spiritually, and we come to the hospital to get healed. Who would go to a hospital when you're healthy? No one. You will go to the hospital when you need some sort of help. So he doesn't judge. So if I wonder when people are having problems, or someone going through a relational problem or a financial problem, they don't want to be judged by people, whereas God is waiting for them. And he says, this is the hospital. This is the place. I'm here, and this is the place. I think it's about to change the mindset of our community. People can judge whatever they want, but guess what? God is non-judgmental, and I'm coming here for God to get healing. He's non-judgmental. Third thing is, God is meek and lowly in heart. وديع ومتواضع. I always, when I read that verse, I always wondered, God, why is meekness and humility that you're trying to teach us? Why don't you teach us love? Why don't you teach us faith? Why don't you teach us hope? Till I figured out that I went to the Greek roots of meekness. So being meek means being gentle and kind. And in the Old English, it didn't exist in a non-Christian context, because when you were meek, it means that you were weak. So people would say, no, I don't want to be meek. I'm not weak. So what does it mean? And why Christ said about meekness? It means that because he is one with his Father, one in harmony, and one in spirit, and because he does not reject his will, and because he does not oppose his plan for him, he is meek. So in other words, when you are one with the Father, you are by default, you are meek. And meekness and humility are two sides of the same coin. So people have always thought that we have to do things in order to be humble and meek. That's not true. You just have to be one with the Father. and you have to accept his will, and you have to be in harmony with him in order to be meek. The last cornerstone of his character, God's will is to have our holiness. And that's what St. Paul says. His will is your holiness. He doesn't have another will. So he designs our lives in such a way that we are pure. So everything he does for your holiness. Every weight he has for you, every stressful time he has for you, he purifies and prunes your personality, and prunes the dry branches of your personality. His love is unconditional, is non-judgmental. He is meek and lowly in heart, and his will is our holiness. If Jacob or any one of us thought about the Father to whom we belong in that context, he wouldn't have been unhappy. Why would I be unhappy if my Father's love is unconditional? Why would I care about what people think about me, or how people look at me, or my position in the church, or whatever it is, if the Father loves me unconditionally? Who cares? If the Father loves me unconditionally and he doesn't judge me, who cares? If Jacob remembered that, or if he was taught that, he wouldn't have been unhappy. But something interesting, as I was listening to the video, who would call his son deceiver? I mean, wasn't there another name? So, like, the parents' mistakes are inherited by the children. And I think Taylor was right. He lived up to the expectation of the name. And who was the mother that encourages a son to lie and to lie to his father? Yeah, there is a wisdom in that, because Esau had, mingled with the youth which belonged to the other branch of humanity. But anyways, to make the long story short, yeah, God wanted that way, but it's a lesson for us. A mother tells her father, or tells her son to lie, to encourage him to lie, and to lie to his father for two things: for money and power, for inheritance and power. Isn't that the same thing people are lying for? Money and power? Okay. So now we knew the character of God. Any questions so far? Any comments on those cornerstones, the four cornerstones of God? Us as children of God, if we were Jacob, what's our identity in Christ? Our identity in Christ is we are led by the Spirit because we are the children of God. And St. Paul says exactly the same. we are led by the Spirit because we are children of God. Secondly, we are called according to his will, and we live according to his Bible. And thirdly, Christ himself asked his Father for, in John 17:17, that's very easy to remember, sanctify them in truth. Your words are truth. Sanctify them in truth. Your words are truth. So, which means that, Father, I want them to be consecrated and sanctified. Consecrate and sanctified come from the same Greek root, meaning specialize something. So I want them to be specialized for you in truth. And truth will set them free. If you know the truth will set them free. So we are sanctified in his truth. And last but not least, our works. Christ said, let your light be shined before people so they may see your good works and glorify God who is in heaven. Your works have to be an example of who you are as an identity. I think if Jacob was taught that way, no, Jacob, you are the son of the Holy Father. Yes, you might have in your genes some sort of jealousy, some sort of vulnerability, environmental circumstances that might affect you or affect your personality, but you are the son of the Holy Father who loves you the second or the first. Does it make any difference for you, Jacob, if Esau has more blessings? 50 more cows? That was the inheritance back then. Does it make any difference if you're the boss after Isaac has died? Does it make any difference? Does it make any difference to be unlike what we are just because to satisfy ourselves? The me first that Taylor was talking about was the symptom. The root cause was a discontent personality. In the Bible of psychiatry and counseling, we call it discontent, unhappy personality. And guess what? I'm not happy with myself. So I'm always unhappy. And then I'm not happy with others. I'm always jealous of them. I think, even if they are worse, by the way, even if they were worse, I'm still unhappy with myself and with them. And thirdly, I am not happy with God. Why would God create me second and Esau was the first? That's the vicious circle of unhappiness. I am discontented with myself, with everything in my life, with my family, with my spouses, with my children, with Canada, with everything. And then, oh, I'm different. People are different. So they must be better. And actually, if you know them, you say, thank you, God. And then eventually, you're unhappy with God. He forgot about me. He's not working for me. And God is working for all of us. Any question? Any comments? Teresa, do you have any questions that you would like that you've prepared? Yeah, or from them, or you have something in mind. 21 years later, yeah. I guess the best way is to say, God, I'm not sure why am I not happy in life. There could be a lot of things. I want to emphasize that some people are not happy or biologically depressed or whatever for other reasons, but I'm saying for those who are not clinically depressed or clinically unhappy, we can say to God, listen, I was a child, I was not happy. I grew up, I was not happy. I got married, I was not happy. I got children, I was not happy. And you were with me all the way through. So could you please make me happy? Could you please, because I don't know how to turn around my life, I'm gonna stick to you. And I believe that was the starting point of Jacob. He said, I lived that way. I don't know otherwise. So I guess the best thing is to stick to God and to listen to his voice, as Brother Paul will tell us next time. Listen to his voice. We have to be attuned to God. But we have to admit our vulnerabilities and our iniquities. Knowing that our Father is meek and lowly in heart. If God, who created us, is lowly in heart and meek, we say, yeah, it could be that the way we were brought up didn't make us happy. Maybe we had a strict parents. Maybe we had a strict environment. Maybe we have whatever. But now I'm coming to you, God, in your hospital for healing. Any other comments? Any other question?
When I read the story over and over, one of the things that came into my mind was, as a parent, how much influence we have on our children. And then we don't even think about it sometimes. So when we're unhappy, what are we doing to our children? Like, look what his mother passed on, right? And that just, I've read the story so many times, but all of a sudden that popped into my head, thinking, and so also God brought Jacob into the world. And when he grabbed onto the heel, that's a baby. So he was born selfish. So God allowed him to be selfish. But as Jacob grew, if he
encouraged.
Exactly. But as he grew, if there wasn't someone there to stop him, then what do we do? Like, I'm thinking of our children, for example. If we're not there to stop them or teach them, how would they know? What about all the people in the world that just don't know God? Like, it's easy. I almost feel that God puts a lot more on us because we should know better, because we were raised with him. And so I feel that we're on a different pedestal. I know he's supposed to love all of us unconditionally, equally, and everything else, but I really do feel that as Christians, we know better. We should know better.
I was going to say, he said, those who have more are asked for more. So we have a lot more. We have that knowledge. He told us over and over. He gave us the examples. He himself came in as an example. So we are asked for more. As much as we try to make up excuses for ourselves, we are asked for more, not just for ourselves, but for our children and for those around us. We are expected to stick to him. We're expected to know him. We're expected to be satisfied with him, and we're expected to show this without actually telling people you should be this. Just by reflecting it, people will see it, and then they will know him, and they will also be satisfied, and they will also be knowledgeable about him, and will stick to him and be one with him as well. So I believe that's our mission. That's why we're on that pedestal, and that's why we are privileged that way.
I think the point that you've raised, Rosa, is a very, very important point in our life with our children. We think that our children don't notice the way we feel, and don't notice the way we live, and don't notice the way we talk. As a matter of fact, they are much more smarter than that. They feel, listen, understand everything. Rebecca was a whining person. A whining person prefers one son to the other. Apparently, she preferred Jacob to Esau. And that person who is unhappy, the mother, when she's happy, she has some sort of unhealthy attachment to a son who affirms this unhealthy attachment. So he grew up seeing a mother who is not happy, who later encouraged him to lie and to deceive, who called him deceiver, so she set the stage for him. So what do you think his life would be like? So what can we do? I always tell parents, you should not control your children in order to be good. It's enough for them to watch how you do things. You want your son or daughter to bring her plate back into the sink or put it in the dishwasher, you did this first. You want the daughter to be respectable and respectful to her husband. When she gets married, she has to see you first. Respectful for your husband. You want your son to be respecting for his wife, you have to respect your wife first. Lead by example. And by the way, this is biblical. Our Lord Jesus Christ never talked about something without doing it first. So he prayed. So when they said, what did you do? I was praying. So they saw him praying. So teach us how to pray. Okay, our Father who art in heaven.
I have a small point to add to that. I only have small kids, so I don't have much experience. But I think we also, it's funny when Joe was telling the testimony of his younger son, and used the words, we just prayed. And it's actually the most powerful thing we can do. And on top of that, even if we don't pray, God is pursuing us. In the Bible, there's a lot of examples of God pursuing his people without them, actually with them rejecting him. And I think that's a really beautiful, it's a love story. Like, he is pursuing our souls. He even pursued Jacob. So Jacob, with his deceitful lifestyle, he came down and wrestled with him towards the end, right? He struggled, Jesus, it said that an angel of God or Jesus struggled with him. So he pursued him to make him whole again. So I think when we're worried about someone who, is maybe down a wrong path or could be falling away from Jesus or whatever it is, God is pursuing them even without us knowing what's happening behind the scenes. And there's actually a book that I've started to read, but I'm not quite finished yet. It's called The Pursuit of God, and he is actually pursuing us. So I think that's a theme that we need to keep in mind.
Actually, it's interesting you said that, Teresa, because sometimes I work with individuals or couples, and I come to a point where I say, God, what am I supposed to do now? I'm done. I'm drained. What am I supposed to do? So the best thing is to put their names on the altar. And interestingly enough, 9 out of 10 times, I find that there is a turnaround in the attitude, a turnaround in the, what happens? I didn't do anything. I didn't contribute to this. But he works. He pursues. And this is very important in our relationships, because we always tell the premaritals every year, you're different. And women are different than men. Their brains are different than men's. Their brain structure is different than men's. Everything is different. And we list out all the differences. A few months after marriage, it seems that some of those things get forgotten. So they say, we cannot deal with each other. So I say, okay, we taught you something. Help me help you. I go to Gigi, I say, no, Gigi, we are in this situation. I don't know how to deal with that. Help me help you. Is that you want me to listen to you? If there's something I can do for you, help me help you. Sometimes it's best to pray for the other person and say to God, you know what? I cannot get through to him or to her, but I'm relying on you. And that's how God pursues us. And that's how God has unconditional love for us. I'll take you the way you are, with all your vulnerabilities, with all your mistakes, with all the things that you've carried throughout your life. I love you the way you are. It's not your job to get fixed. It's my job to fix you. Any other comments? Any questions? No? Thank you so much for coming today to attend the first session. It's been a pleasure. I've enjoyed interacting with you. I guess our next session will be October 14th, Saturday, second Saturday. And Brother Paul will be talking about discerning God's voice from the world's voice. Let's stand for prayer, please.
In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, one God, amen. Thank you, God, for gathering us here together today to learn more about you, learn more about your character and how you deal with us no matter what we do, no matter what we don't do. You're always in pursuit of us. We thank you for everything that you've given us, whether it's good or harmful to us. Teach us to thank you at all times, in every situation. God, be with us in our lives. Be with us in our families, our marriages, how to deal with our children. Please continue to give us guidance and give us strength to bear one another, to love one another, to be able to live in harmony, not just with each other, but to live with you in harmony and holiness. Help us to learn more about your character and get closer to you so that we are able to get closer to others. Be with us as we continue our relationships with each other, and help us to be able to bring more people to your faith and bring more people to you, those that don't know you, those who question you, those who may have doubts about you. Help us to be more stronger in our faith so that we can bring them to you. Through the intercessions of Saint Mary, Saint Maurice, Saint Verena, and all your saints, hear us who pray thankfully. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. In Christ Jesus our Lord, and his kingdom, the power, and glory forever and ever. Amen.